Hello and welcome to the Worn and Wound podcast. My name is Blake Buettner, the managing editor of Worn and Wound. Today, we've got another special episode lined up for you featuring some discussions that we had with some exhibiting brands at the Windup Watch Fair, Chicago. We start things off with a discussion with Bradley Price from Autodromo, talking about his latest release and the last 10 years of the brand. And then we move over to Fortis with Andreas, and we talk about the Stratoliner and some of the new things that they're doing with the movement over there. And then we move on to Wesley from Standard H, who has a clothing brand, who's also an alum of the podcast. We talk a little automotive, a little watches, and of course some clothing over there. And then finally, we're speaking with Andrew from Astor and Banks, who is local to Chicago here where we are having the fair. We talk about his origins and some of the models that he's working on now, how he's evolved. Really interesting discussion all around. With that, I hope you enjoy the discussions, and let's kick things off with Bradley Price and Autodromo. Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair, Chicago. I am Blake Buettner, and I am joined with Xk Kazan. Zach, hello.
Hello, Blake. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm happy to be back in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah.
Long time coming.
We are thrilled to be joined with good friend Bradley Price of Autodromo. Bradley,
hey guys.
Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of the Windup Watch Fair.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. It's great to be back in Chicago. It's my hometown.
I was going to say, you're a Midwestern guy too.
I am a Midwesterner, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well, it's great to have you here and see you at a show again, see your watches. You've got an awesome poster down there. You've got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, the poster, I'm really proud of the poster. We actually did it at the last minute, but it's like a riff on this 1980s Pirelli ad that I love, where there's this BMW M5 like flying over this like luminous square, and it's just very surreal and weird in an 80s way. Yeah, and so we basically duplicated this look with my car. Flying through the air with the Dino GT4. And actually, weirdly, I have the same Pirelli tires on that car that are in the original ad. Nice. So that was kind of where I realized, I should make it. That was the connection point where I was like, I got the same tires. I should make this ad for my car, for Autodromo. So I don't know. Cool. It just sort of like clicked, and then we had to shoot that and make it. It was very laborious to get it to look right. But,
I can imagine. It turned out really well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks. Will those be on your website?
They will. Yeah,
okay.
They will. I'm just haven't had a time to even put them up, but they'll be available.
What's on your wrist?
I'm actually wearing an original Vallelunga, which was one of our original launch collection watches from 2011.
Yeah.
And this was a quartz Ronda movement, big date, 42 millimeter watch that we launched the brand with. Mm-hmm. And there were several other designs, but in the same case. And so at this show today, or yesterday, I should say, we launched a new version of the Vallelunga as an automatic watch. Yeah. It's 40 millimeters now. It's got a sapphire domed crystal. It's got all these nice goodies and, kind of new features that like a high gloss dial and other detailing that the original did not have. And so it was just a way of going back to basics, of going back to the minimalist watch that we started with 10 years ago and bringing it back, but in a more elevated and refined execution. Yeah. And it's priced at $695. So now it's the base model on our automatic range. Yeah. So it's the new entry level automatic for the brand.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. The watch looks great down there. Yeah. Zach, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing my Grand Seiko SPGA 469 today.
Shocking. I know. That watch is really cool.
It's great.
I really like the dial on that
Very
one.
nice.
I'm wearing a Tudor Black Bay Pro. So it's a nice little lineup we got here. Bradley,
Sweet.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
He's just saying, it's gone by pretty quick.
It's gone by really fast.
I remember Ben Clymer telling me about you right after you had launched or shortly after. And,
we launched with Hodinky was the first ever post about us. That was kind of when I marked the official launch date was November 16th, 2011, when they posted the first, it said new brand alert. And that was, and then we were off to the races at that point. So that was something I'll always remember.
Early pretty decent launching pad, I'd say.
Yeah, it was a great launching pad, and that was relatively early days of Hodinkee
Yeah.
as well. So it was really directly, Ben writing about it, and
Yeah, it's been fun to watch the brand kind of grow and some of the new models that you've released. I make no secret about my fondness of the Group B. I've got the Night Stage watches, which I absolutely adore. And wear often. And there's just something special about those watches.
Thanks. Yeah.
What's been the biggest surprise over the last 10 years? You mentioned it kind of went by pretty fast.
Yeah, it has gone by really fast. I still look back and think like, I can't believe I'm actually doing this, that this actually worked out, that, people want to buy what I'm making and they continue to want to buy it and continue to be interested in the brand. And I think, being at the show is a really great affirmation for me in a lot of ways, because when you're running an online business, you have people that you talk to on Instagram and stuff like that are fans of the brand or have questions, or you have emails with customers, et cetera. But like to really see people face to face and see how knowledgeable they are about the models that we've made in the past and the brand in general, and they know who I am as a person, which is weird.
Which is weird.
Well, it's like it's like I'm not used to people coming up to me and saying, "You're Bradley, right?" But at this show, people say that. It's just people know who I am now after 10 years. So
it's because you're a good person, Bradley.
I try to treat I try to treat people well. Like customers. I almost never charge people for service on watches, even after they're way out of warranty, for example, because I'm just like, you bought the watch, like I just want to help you fix it, So I unless someone really like destroyed their watch, clearly, I generally just don't even charge people. I just give it back to them. Here you go. So I just want I think treating the customer right is a really important part of the success of the brand. Putting aside designs and quality of the watch itself, it's really handling people's problems, effectively, and trying to give people personal attention.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Windup is that it allows people to interact in person with those brands and make those connections.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. I think it's really one of the best aspects of the show. I think it's just that ability to meet people face to face. Meet the creators of these watches that you see online. Yeah,
absolutely. It's I love that element of it. It's a great community here. What do you envision over the next 10 years for Autodromo?
Oh man. Well, I always want to expand our product range beyond just watches, and we do have various leather products, and we have our gloves, which are a perennial popular item. But it's funny though, because people at the end of the day, people still like really come to us for watches. So it's like the other stuff is like icing on the cake, so to speak. But the really core of the brand is always watches. And so I always dream of like expanding into other areas. But at the end of the day, I feel like, we just have to keep making awesome watches and coming up with new angles on the automotive theme that people are not expecting. Yeah. So, you'll see around the holiday release a pretty unexpected, I would say, watch that we're going to be launching.
Well, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
We're getting teased.
We're getting teased.
Yeah, consider yourself teased.
Yeah, I love it. So, and obviously, like you have a passion and knowledge around cars. Like, how do you continually kind of draw on that for inspiration in what you're doing?
Yeah, that's the thing. So there is, in theory, like an endless mine of material to look at, but at the same time, there are certain common themes that I love, which is Italian cars of the 50s and 60s. So we kind of keep going back to that area a lot for inspiration. But I feel like really right now, like the 80s and 90s racing and Group B and Group C and other like racing of that era is really becoming more and more of a focal area. Like this year, they had the Group C cars have become very relevant again, whereas 10 years ago they were a bit more forgotten, I would say.
Yeah.
And then Group B, obviously, when we came out with the Group B watch, that coincided with a moment in the car world where Group B cars were becoming appreciated again, and you would see them at shows now more and more, whereas like 5 years before, no one was really bringing them to shows much.
Yeah.
unless it was like a rally specific show.
Sure.
So part of what I'm doing is also looking at the trends in the car world of like what cars people are excited about right now or will be excited about in the next year or two, whatever, as I'm developing watches.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see some of this coming back around in some of the trends, like as happens, like with style trends, some of the like popular cars that, nobody's really paying much attention to, but they're kind of coming of age. This concept vehicle from Hyundai that was released.
Oh my God,
this real
so cool.
80s vibe,
really
like
cool.
that kind of was like
Hyundai,
that looks like an Autodromo car.
Hyundai has been crushing it lately. They really need to redesign their logo, I think, to suit the avant-garde aesthetic that they have of the cars. But I mean, the Ioniq 5 electric vehicle is super cool.
Yeah.
It has so many elements of 80s Italian cars in it, like the Alfa SC and the Delta Integrale and so on, that they've reconfigured into totally new design. But like, there's so many great. Like, that's why I love it, because it, like my own work, it's like, it's totally new. You haven't seen it before, but there's so many familiar references that you can say, oh, that nose is very much like the SZ. And like, that windshield column, it feels like that, it's like a totally new design you haven't seen before. And it's super cool.
Yeah, I love seeing the kind of infamous Group B cars getting more and more recognition. And I feel like we're kind of entering a new, maybe golden age. The WEC is getting very interesting now with a lot of kind of old school brands coming back in to be competitive in endurance racing with the likes of Ferrari.
Well, next year is going to be crazy at Le Mans.
Yeah, the LMDH cars, I believe, is what they're called.
I'm not sure what they're called.
Hypercar.
That's basically
But Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, some new Cadillac, BMW.
Did you see that Cadillac show car that they did that's based on their race? It's spectacular.
It's crazy. I'm really excited. I haven't been this excited because the last 10 years of Le Mans, really, it's Toyota had their phase and Porsche had their phase, and then
I really love seeing Glickenhaus
crushing it out there.
Like podium in the second year of doing Le Mans after first of all, the fact that they finished in their first year is a huge deal.
It's an accomplishment. And
they finished like 6th or something. It wasn't even like far down.
And
then to podium in the second year. But it's going to be interesting next year because it's going to be a whole new ball game for them to like, as far as like who they're competing with. So I do wish them the best though, because it's so cool to see a small American independent team that's just trying to win Le Mans in the classic, Briggs Cunningham mold of, doing it their way. I would love to see them. I mean, much as I love some of these other marks that are coming back, it would be really cool to see Glickenhaus actually win Le Mans. That would just be amazing.
The ultimate.
Plus, they're based in the Hudson Valley where I live, so they're kind of a local team to me.
Yeah, the new livery they showed off the other day, that blue.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Very sharp.
Oh, I'm gonna check that out.
So I know you've got your thing with kind of like the old school cars. Would you ever draw inspiration from any of the modern stuff that you're seeing for like a new collection?
Not necessarily. It doesn't really motivate me aesthetically. I mean, I appreciate cutting edge design as far as race cars go. But I feel like a lot of it doesn't translate very well to a watch because it's way too fluid and like fiddly almost. The modern aero stuff is very...
And they all look very similar as a result.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Group B cars, they're all like weird, ridiculous looking cars.
Yeah,
I
love that. I love the ugliness of them. That they're these boxy, strange, like the Delta S4 looks like a delivery van, and yet it's like goes 200 miles an hour on dirt. It's like I love that.
And the Ford RS, like there's some funky design stuff happening there, which I love.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, modern cars, I mean, we did, as you know, the Ford GT owner's watch, which is the only watch that I've ever done that was inspired by a new car, and which took styling elements from a current model car on the market. And that was really fun. But it was fun because I got to do it in collaboration with the designers that actually worked on the car and like bounced things off of them.
Yeah.
And so that made it just exciting for me on a personal level to be talking to these guys and like having their reactions and their feedback on the designs that we were doing. So that was really cool. But I don't think in general, I don't find it as inspiring to do stuff that's based on modern stuff, because it's just not my forte.
Have you gotten to know any of the owners and work with them and get them on board with the brand because you get to work with the Ford GT owners?
So every watch that we make is spec'd out by an owner.
Okay.
And is basically custom built for that person with their serial. It's not just serialized, but like all the colors of all the components that they can choose from are put together for them. Mm-hmm. So there is a lot of it's a whole interaction for every watch sale. Like there's a whole chain of emails or phone calls or whatever to spec out the watch. So it has been really cool to meet a lot of these guys. A lot of them very interesting people. Mm-hmm. Some of them are well known, and some of them are just some guy that's got a company he's a supplier for Ford, or I mean, so there's a whole range of people from like professional athletes all the way to like suppliers or dealership owners.
Yeah. No, they're really cool watches too.
It's a very cool project.
It was
to match the watch.
It was a really certainly as far as like first 10 years, it's a really like a crowning achievement of the brand. But it was also a huge challenge, a huge challenge.
No, I can imagine. Well, Bradley, we're really excited to see what is yet to come in the next 10 years. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being a part of the Windup Watch
Fair.
Well,
I always want to support Worn and Wound and everything you guys do. And I think you guys have created it's not that you've created the community, but you've created a place for the community to be and to learn. And that's an incredible service that Worn and Wound has done, like creating this show, but also just in general on the website.
Well, we appreciate it, certainly. You're welcome back anytime.
Thanks.
Bradley Price, thank you. And thank you for listening. And until next time, take care. And now we'll move to Andreas with Fortis. Here we discuss the Stratoliner and some of the cool things that they're doing with their new in-house chronograph movement. Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair. This is a Windup Watch Fair discussion. I am Blake Buettner, and I am thrilled to be joined by Andreas of Fortis. Andreas, thank you for joining me.
Hi, thank you for
And thank you for
me.
being a part of the Windup Watch Fair. How's the fair been going for you?
So far, so good, actually.
Pretty consistently busy over there.
Jesus Christ, my voice is already gone, so yeah.
Well, that's a good sign. And most of it is around a watch that you released relatively recently. This is the Stratoliner. This has a new movement in it for you guys.
Yeah.
Tested in space. You released a rather dramatic video of these movements, cased movements, I should say, going up in a balloon.
Yeah, actually, we're working with the Swedish Space Corporation.
That's right.
It was pretty big in Europe in terms of space traveling or rocketing, if you want so. They do mainly testings and stuff for ESA, NASA, DLR, JAXA, and that kind of stuff. So we hooked up with them, so we partnered up with them. And at the end of the day, they do a lot of engineering for us in terms of how to test movements in the future. So we are a long-term partnership. And we want to rebuild the space conditions in Grenchen one day.
Okay.
So that we don't need to kind of shoot out rockets and balloons each year to test stuff. But we want to make each and every single watch for this kind of space-proof. So that's the approach. So yeah.
It's really cool. And I've got more questions about this. Before we get too deep, though, what are you wearing on your wrist right now?
Today I'm wearing the Marine Master M40 Woodpecker Green on the Brock bracelet. That's basically my daily rocker.
That's a lovely green dial.
Yeah, it's called Woodpecker Green. It's not like a screaming green or something. It's more subtle. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of forced.
Nature.
So this particular line has a few different sizes and dial colors within it, and this is also relatively new for Fortis.
I mean, since the Flieger, everything is pretty much new.
Yeah.
We did some I think at the end of the day, it's something like 20, 25 new releases since 2020.
Okay.
It all started with the Flieger, and then we did the Marine Master last year.
Yeah.
There's two sizes. One is the M40, as said, and then we have the M44, a bit bigger, and that comes with the Kinesi movement, 70 hours power reserve, manufacture caliber, chronometer.
So the chronograph movement that's in the Stratoliner is not a Kanisi movement. This is a work.
We call it Werk 17. We have
Okay.
our own description or titles for manufactured calibers. It's manufactured in collaboration with La Joux Perret.
Okay.
They sit in La Chaux-de-Fonds. And they have an awesome machine park and I think around about 100 to 200 employees. And they're building really robust, tooly, mechanical, automatic wristwatch movements, I would say. And together with them, actually, we developed the Werk 17 and took it up into stratosphere.
Were there any considerations any special considerations for this movement that you wanted to be sure, okay, this is important. We are going to test it in these ways. How can we make it space proof? This is not space proof, right? Is this really the whole point? Is it helps you identify weak points in the movement?
No, the idea is we don't want to have the consumer to be our test subject.
Sure.
So we stand for space since whatever ages.
Of course, the classic cosmonauts
classics,
watch,
the Roscosmos story, and all of that, and
which are awesome. So you have some awesome watches in your back catalog. The chronograph GMTs.
So there is a lot of stuff that's been done before, and there will be a lot of stuff coming up soon.
Okay.
And but mainly we do this to actually build the best product in the world. So I think the watch is the most sustainable product in the world already. So because you're not going to throw it away after a year.
Sure, I hope not.
You don't need to update it. So if you invest into high quality products or into high quality movements or cases or whatever it is, you have a product that's everlasting. And I think that's worth investing quite a lot of money at the end of the day. So yes, I think in terms of quality, as I said, we do use recycled steel for all our watch cases and bracelets. So wherever we can, we try to kind of reduce our impact here. But yes, at the end of the day, the Marine Masters, we claim that in our advertising that this is not a diving watch.
What's that about? Why do you say that?
Because in reality, nobody's going to dive, to be honest.
Okay, so you're calling it out right on the front.
Right on the front. I mean, at the end of the day,
we know that you're not going to do this in our
you're
watch.
not going to dive 500 meters.
You're not going to go travel through space.
You're not going to travel to space, probably. You're not a pilot.
Okay.
But,
all right.
I mean, these watches are purpose-built.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what is important is to redefine it. And the redefinition can be design-wise, can be material-wise, can be in terms of philosophy behind it. So we kind of also always try to engrave the emotion that needs to be captured with that timepiece. For example, on the Marine Master, we say keine Termine und den Horizont vor Augen, which is German, means something like there is no meetings and you have the horizon up front.
Okay, I like it.
Or for example, on the Stratoliner, it says, der Himmel ist nicht das Ende der Welt, meaning something like sky is no limit.
Okay.
So the idea is also to give that person a perspective of what the use is of that watch. So take it outdoor. Take it outdoor, go wild. Gonna get it some scratches because it needs it.
I like this. You don't hear brands confronting this too often, even though we all know, especially at least us enthusiasts, that this is rarely the reality when they release it.
I mean, but why should I drill a hole into a watch case for a helium valve that nobody needs?
Yeah. Well, yes, indeed. I think that's worth confronting, and you're doing it in a very creative way. I also really like the design language that you've introduced with the Stratoliner. These dials are very distinctive, and I think you get used to kind of what a chronograph looks like, and they're all kind of in the same vein. This looks, when I first saw it, it looks like a prototype or something, and it just like this is great. Like it's planned, but it maybe it doesn't have a bunch of unnecessary elements. Like it's very minimal, almost.
Tootastic with a. I would say with a touch of design language. I mean, taking it from outside to the inside, you have that case which has that special lugs. If you take a closer look,
kind of a kink lug.
Yeah, it has we call it the DeLorean of watch cases.
Okay.
A bit. So that's with the story behind it. So the vintage, the space character, then the dial itself. It has it's very simple, but it's been the most expensive dial we've ever done.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's we have that structure called dust style structure, and it's very difficult. It has to be done by hand at the end of the day to put that superluminova in the correct way in there that it is.
Okay.
Because those lines and those superluminova markings actually describe the flight path of the Virgin Galactic flight, which is the kind of homage that we want to play to. And because we know the first who bought the ticket for those. So this guy's Per Wimmer from London. He holds one of the tickets. He's going to fly next year, Q1.
Okay.
And actually, we know Dave McKay, who's one of the pilots, or the chief pilot at the end of the day, who actually wears one.
Really? Very cool.
So that's pretty cool. And I think the idea is to, yes, nobody's going to go to space soon. But at the end of the day, it's about the vision. If there's no visionaries, we're not going anywhere. So that's what we try to appreciate here.
Yeah.
And that's basically it.
And Yup was at the Windup San Francisco.
Yeah.
It was lovely to meet him. He kind of referenced that wasn't the last bit of space testing we were going to see with these watches.
Yeah, truly not.
So anything you can shed light on there for us?
Not in too many details, but I guess there's a rocket launching in November.
Okay.
And if everything goes right, I guess we're gonna have some cabin space there.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not a manned rocket, but yeah.
Okay.
But yes, it's a testing rocket. There's lots of other experiments on board. We're gonna have that captured in a video as well as the last one. So you need to check out that YouTube video. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. We'll put a link down to that.
So we're gonna have something like that. We work together with Fratello on that side.
Okay.
So
yeah.
You know them, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we're doing there. And the idea is then to go further in space. So this time we had the balloon for the movement. We had the balloon. Went up to 30 kilometers, minus 60, 64 degrees, something like that. Tried different oils and stuff and tested it. The way we test things is like until they break. That's our approach. When they break, we know the limits.
So if it didn't break here, you're like, well, how can we push it further?
That's the
How
story.
can we break
For
this
example, the Stratoliner, we did water resistance tests in-house. We have a machine that goes up to 1,300 or down to 1,300 meters. And at 1150, the whole watch kind of explodes in that thing.
Yeah.
And we write down it's 200 meters space resistance just to give a bit of play.
There's a healthy margin of error.
There's a healthy margin.
That's excellent.
So yeah.
I mean, these are really striking watches, very distinctive. Even though you have some really beloved old watches in your catalog as well, from the 90s and early 2000s.
True. Next time you come around, I show you the real space watches from the 90s.
All right, love it.
We have that in the backlog somewhere. So,
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we're trying to redefine the whole brand a bit.
Okay.
I think that's important to know. We're trying to take the best elements of the past and redefine it for the future. So, I mean, there's lots of tool watches out there. What we're trying to do is to give it a bit of a luxury, a bit of a design. You know, it's if you pay that kind of money, you don't just want a tool that looks shit.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
we want to have it nice and clean and super designed and timeless.
Because we're not diving and we're not flying in space and we're not.
You want to have that to a watch, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically
okay. So the design language that we saw introduced with the Stratoliner, very distinctive. Is this something that we'll see evolve into other collections?
We do have, now we have 3 collections, the Flieger, the Marine Masters, and the Stratoliners, and we're working on 2 more. Okay. And then we're hopefully finished with that.
Okay.
So, and then we're going to iterate within the collections. Okay. But at the end of the day, I think each and every single collection has its own design language. And that's very important so that the consumer also understands or can kind of make himself comfortable with one collection, for example.
Sure.
But there is elements that go through all collections, like, for example, the block bracelet that's going to stay. That's a massive bracelet with that micro adjustment perfected to whatever perfection it is. Yeah. And I think that's something that's going to stay, like the the orange 13 on a date wheel.
Of course. So you just referenced some other new collections coming. What can we look forward to seeing from Fortis in the coming months and year?
Yeah.
Some stuff. Okay.
Some stuff, yeah.
Right. Well, whatever it is, we're really excited to see it. And we really love what you've done recently. The Strat
Yeah, we
Liner.
love you. I mean, you're great partners for our US market as well.
Well,
So,
we appreciate it. And we really appreciate you being here at the Windup Watch Fair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to this conversation. We will see you on the next time. Next up, we're moving to Wesley of Standard H, a clothing brand that's exhibiting here in Chicago. We talk a little watches, maybe some cars, and of course, his clothing. Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair Chicago. I am thrilled to be joined. Well, first, actually, I'm going to start.
Yeah, do it.
I usually have my normal thing that I go through, and
We're all thrown off.
yeah, we're all thrown off a little bit.
You're not in your home.
We're not. Yeah, it's all right. We're professionals. We'll work through it. Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair, Chicago. My name is Blake Buettner. I am thrilled to be joined by Mr. Wesley of Standard H and Kat.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome. Wesley,
Hey.
thank you for being a part of the Windup Watch Fair.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for having me, and thank you for having me again on
Yes,
your network.
He's an alum of the podcast, of course. We had a great discussion about watches and cars and clothes and Volkswagens.
F1.
F1 a little bit. Yeah, all of it in there. So yeah, this is the first time that you've been a part of the Windup Watch Fair. How's the show been going for you?
It's amazing, man. And actually, it's actually the first trade show I've ever done as
really?
a brand. So that's exciting as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful meeting customers that I've known for now a couple of years online, and having people walk up in the product, in t-shirts and such, and it's pinch myself kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Can't thank all these people for the support, let alone the willingness to come to the show and shake hands, kiss babies,
Of course, yeah. The usual.
all the rest of that. Yeah.
And you've got some pretty cool looking new clothes over there too.
I do. Some new
Couple
releases.
jackets.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Okay.
Yep. The jackets are actually just samples.
Okay.
So those are to come, but I had the samples, so I at least kind of wanted to share with people sort of like the direction of the brand, where it's headed.
Yeah.
But those will be available probably in the next 6-8 weeks, I'm hoping.
Oh, sweet.
Cool.
So I'm still trying to figure out my costs on these things. So let alone the constant inquiry of the retail
Yeah.
ticket.
Oh, they're really cool.
YTD.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go any deeper, let's do a wrist check.
Yeah.
Wrist check.
Kat,
Kat.
what are you wearing over there?
I've got the Speedy Mark II on today.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the different Speedy. It's the Speedy that no one likes.
The other Speedmaster. Yes.
It's incredibly thick but it's very comfortable. And I've said this on the podcast before, but don't pay attention to the numbers sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's an absolutely beautiful watch. In person too, it's even more like.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I
The
love
dial
it.
on it just
I
like
love it. It's cool.
pops,
It's a
dude.
cool one.
It's so cool.
The colors are amazing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That orange, fluorescent orange. It's cool.
We just saw Blake's Porsche design downstairs. And so it seems orange seconds are the theme of the day.
Yeah. I've got one, and then Zach has a couple of them. It's like a weird. It's a problem.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
accumulating these things.
Well, birds of
I'm
a
not
feather.
in. I'm not in that cool kid club yet.
I mean,
Me neither, Kat. Me neither.
there you can't deny though, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty awesome special watches.
Beautiful.
Speaking of special watches, what are you wearing?
Well, I disclosed the order on your show
Yes, that's right. I
for the
remember
first
this, yeah.
time. And I took delivery finally last week
Congratulations.
of the K2 Kudoke.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a black dial, a dressier piece. Kind of a hole in my collection was having more of a dressier look.
Mm-hmm.
And this one definitely comes with some whimsical day-night indicator, which unless you're in a cave, you got big problems if you don't know what time of day it is.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, very cool. Congratulations. It's a very interesting watch. The case, the dial, the move, pretty much every part of it has something to kind of discover and enjoy.
Yeah.
The kind of step bezel. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's 39 millimeters, so the diameter is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And then the movement is incredibly well finished and just super fun. Again, it's very kind of whimsical for me. as somebody who's a very minimalist type of person.
Yeah.
It's the counterpoint to your tribute
Yes.
to the 3705, right?
100%.
It's the other end of that. Oh, another watch that I absolutely adore. By the way. Are you going to get a Ceratanium bracelet for that?
They are $10,000.
Wow.
So no.
No?
Holy crap.
I'd rather get a couple other watches.
You gotta get a couple other watches. Okay.
I explored it though.
Okay.
I thought it was a cool idea. It'd look killer. I know it would be amazing. Yeah. But it's a little rich, I think, at 10K.
Can I just say, like, I really love this look. Like this white t-shirt and like a super dressy watch. I just love that.
You know,
much.
I love a high-low moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a high-low configuration.
Exactly. And on that note, could you picture yourself going with like a Velcro strap on that?
Oh my goodness.
That's the ultimate high-low.
You want to? Yes, indeed. We'll maybe explore that another day.
All right.
It's got a 20mm lug width, so it's extremely
anything.
versatile.
Yeah, anything. I'm wearing a 39mm watch as well. This is a Tudor Black Bay Pro.
Unbelievable.
Which has really started to grow on me. So I think, we all saw it in Geneva for Watches and Wonders. You get kind of a quick hands-on with it. You see all the ramblings on the internet, everyone complaining and all that. But at the same time, it still kind of just lingered in the back of my head.
There's complaining about that watch?
Oh, man. Jeez. Have you heard of this internet?
Have you worked in watches?
It's great on the wrist. And, Zach and I kind of did a video talking about it. Once you're wearing it all day, it kind of falls away. You don't really notice it. So it's wearable.
Yeah.
Whatever the numbers say.
What I love about the GMT hand is it's such a unique color because I think depending on your environment, it changes color.
It does. Some of the lighting downstairs is
really?
Like kind of this blue tintus or something. And I was trying to describe it to somebody yesterday who was looking for a strap for his.
And he's trying to match it?
Yeah, he didn't have it with him though. So I pulled mine out. And I was like, kind of described the colors of the dial, like, oh, go well with this. And then in the light, it looked like totally different.
Right,
like pure yellow. But it's warmer than that.
Yeah.
It's kind of somewhere between like orange and yellow.
Have you put it on a strap yet?
I have not.
Okay.
Zach had his on a leather strap that I thought looked really nice. I was thinking of maybe like a dark gray. Put on there. So
speaking of Velcro, I mean, if you're changing environments quickly, nothing's a faster strap change than Velcro.
This will be just my slow move to making all the watches I have be on
Velcro.
Velcro straps. Yeah, that's the thing to do. So have you had a chance to check out any of the other watches at the show?
Yes, I
anything
have.
Jumped out at you?
Bradley, of course, Autodromo. He just released that 10-year anniversary watch.
Yeah, congrats to him.
That looks like a tachymeter scale with like at 4:00, it's like the red line.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It's so Bradley, it's so Carr, and he does it better than anybody. I rave about Bradley constantly.
Yeah, he's truly one of the good ones in this industry, and we are super happy to have him at the show. I mean, people are always coming through his booth and just chatting with him. He had somebody came by with the first watch he had ever sold to his booth yesterday.
No way.
So he had it he changed the battery for him. We were looking for the right size screwdriver and all this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
Really cool to see,
Yeah.
You know?
It was cool.
I wore my Group B yesterday for the
I noticed
show.
that. Love
you
the Group
did.
B.
And a gentleman was shopping at my booth and he asked to try it on. Mm-hmm. And he was like, wow, this is like really cool. I was like, well, you have to go see Bradley. He's on the other side of the building. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I will for sure. I don't know, 40 minutes later, he comes back and says, can I borrow your watch? I was like, huh? And he's like, here's my Zodiac. Oh. You keep it. Yeah. Can I borrow your watch? Because I'm going to have my bracelet sized exactly like yours because I tried yours on. And if you try his on, it's too big. So he's like, he couldn't get the right feel. But because he tried mine on, he fell in love with the actual way that it fit. Yeah. So he used my watch to size his bracelet.
That's funny.
Which was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, it's good. That's one of those interesting, and I find this about I don't know if you guys notice this about like integrated watches where the bracelet kind of meets the width of the lug.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to kind of size down the diameter, because it can kind of wear almost like a bracelet.
Yeah, right, like a cuff.
Like it doesn't have like kind of a natural large taper. I really noticed this with the new Vacheron 222 that was released. That's only like a 36 or 37, but the bracelet really kind of flares out and stays wide, so it's almost like a cuff bracelet type.
Well, that's what I found with the Octo. You know, the Octafinissimo.
Yeah, exactly. That's another great example.
Yeah.
So the watch, it's not like a big watch or anything, but you're used to kind of thinking in terms of like the 20 millimeter span for a bracelet, and that kind of comes down. But when it stays the full, 30 millimeters or something like that, like it really changes.
It's like
how
they
you
don't
think about
articulate like fully down. They kind of just stay out a little bit.
It has like they have to design it in a way that I don't like. It's a very different consideration with this that I think a lot of people aren't used to. In the Group B kind of skirts into that realm a little bit. However, it like tapers really nicely.
I wonder if it's because top to bottom, lug to lug. I mean, I don't know for sure. This is all conjecture at this point, but like if the lugs just don't extend to the outer part of your wrists. So like on this watch, for example, like maybe the links start to disappear visually, whereas like a smaller footprint on top of your wrist, you're seeing more of the bracelet quite literally.
Yeah. So visually kind of, and again, it's not about the numbers or anything like that.
Sure.
This is just the kind of like ergonomic, like
how it wears.
Design consideration that you don't really think about.
Totally.
Things like this. What are your thoughts on like that's kind of a part, like, I don't know, like the bracelet on your Mark II, kind of flares up, but it
drops straight down, which makes it really comfortable because the case is so big. But I think I know what you're talking about, and I think especially with the Autodromo, it's very flat, like they're very angular too. Yeah. Like your Tudor, everything's curved, it's going down, but those are just flat links. And I see what you mean, and I think that's why I've seen complaints with people with smaller wrists. Sometimes those watches don't wear as well, but if you like it, you like it. Wear it.
Yeah. Are you a fan of like the integrated?
Oh yeah,
like
totally. I love it. Yeah.
It's so clean.
Yeah.
Like when it comes, you know what I mean? Because it looks like it's made for it, which it is. You know,
well,
it's just a really
like when it's done well, it's like really hits.
Yes.
The Astor and Banks too. The Fortitude kind of has that integrated look too. They've done a really good job. It's not integrated, but it looks like it is almost.
Yeah. Oh, I need to go check that out.
It's like an organic look.
Cool.
Yeah, he's got some cool watches there, Andrew. I like his. He's got a really clean aesthetic going that's very unique. And it's tough to do, especially with simple watches. Like making it unique and feel a little bit different is all in like little tiny details that if you look at it, you can't put your finger on exactly what it is, but it's still very distinctive.
Yeah.
We put a lot of thought into proportions, into the shapes of this and that. And it all comes together, like you can tell.
Right.
It's just a time and date watch.
Yeah.
Right.
How different could it possibly be?
Right.
But it does. Like it feels like its own thing.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do, especially now when we're kind of like spoiled for choice and all this stuff, which is
Yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got something neat there.
Yeah. I definitely want to check that out for sure.
Yeah, you should. And he's got some colorful dial. He has a teal dial there that was very timely. I think it released like a year ago, like before all the kind of like...
He was ahead of the curve.
He was ahead of the curve there. But
Nice.
I think he's going to maybe might get rid of it. But it's sharp. I don't know. I like I like what he's doing. He's another local Chicago guy.
Oh, cool.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else is on your radar? What else are you paying attention to? Watch-wise, car-wise?
Well, car-wise, so you mentioned the jacket earlier. It's kind of funny. I literally had fabric made after the tartan plaid of my seats inside of my GTI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
For the lining of the
jacket that I'll be releasing.
That's incredible.
So as an automotive-inspired line of apparel, I tried to find little deep cuts, if you will, to inject into the design and layout of the apparel. And yes, I quite literally made because of the repetition of the pattern, like if I did it the exact size of my seats, the plaid would just be so big. So I did shrink it. I think it's like 75% or something like that, just for more repetition inside the jacket.
Yeah.
So it's a plaid interior of this jacket that is quite literally the exact same
That is so cool.
pattern and colors and Pantones, et cetera, or what have you.
That's cool.
Of my GTI.
You have it with you here?
Yeah,
I need to go check it out. I haven't
downstairs.
checked out the jackets yet.
And then because I'm doing multiple colorways of the jacket, I did multiple colors of that plaid as well.
Okay.
So the other plaid, so for those who don't know about a GTI, the interior is black, red, and gray plaid. Whereas I used colors from a vintage Porsche plaid that they did and applied it to the same pattern for like the navy version of the jacket, for example. So it's two different colorways showing downstairs. And I released a lightweight sweatshirt recently that's called the Xk SS, the Xk Sweatshirt, which is a lightweight Jaguar that Steve McQueen used to drive. And then I launched a heavyweight hoodie that's a pullover. That's called the Vanagon hoodie.
The Vanagon.
After the Volkswagen Vanagons, because
very cool.
I don't know. You think of a Volkswagen van and like a hoodie just seems appropriate.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. And you do more than just the clothes stuff. You've got a really unique watch box down there.
I do. It's called the Defender watch box. I'm a sucker for a double entendre.
Okay.
So so the thing is it's made from a 50 caliber ammo can. And it's called the Defender watch box. Clearly, you think of ammo and defense, but also the Land Rover Defender. So I use kind of like inspiration of these bigger vehicles that can go off-road and such, something more robust. So the watch case holds 8 watches. There's 2 trays holding 4 each. They're all made from poplar wood and then clad in Alcantara, which is the same material you'd find in like the roofline of a high-end Porsche or like any other high-end sports car. And then inside the lid of the ammo can is kind of a diamond print. Stitch is more diamond embroidered, I guess. Which is more of like if you've ever sat in a G-Wagon, it's the seat inserts are diamond.
Okay.
Kind of embroidered.
Wow.
Definitely have to see it to believe it.
It's cool. It's unique. It's different. It's unexpected.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah,
So.
it's out of left field. I wanted something that said, for the watch collector that has 40 watches, that wants to go to a watch meetup and wants to take a small selection of his arsenal, he could go and travel with it that way. If you're going on a road trip.
Let's see what you did there.
Yeah. Ding.
Yeah.
Or if you're, just starting a collection and you have 3, but you do the Matt Jacobson 1 in 1 out by 7 or whatever. You got the case to hold them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's very cool. So are you going to expand your range of accessories? I saw a shift knob down there too.
Yeah, so that's
some cool stuff.
That's literally called the shift knob desk ornament. Okay. It's a paperweight, but it's threaded, so you can actually use it in a car if you have a car. It's got an M10 and an M12 thread.
Okay.
So say you have like a vintage Volkswagen Beetle or some other. I actually had a customer put it in a modern Mustang.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
They had to tap it for their modern car.
Yeah.
But it was such a trip to receive that photo on DM where this Standard H shift knob is in a modern Mustang. It was cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What's this all about?
So is it just like anything that catches your fancy, or do you have like a...
Yeah, I mean, plans for the future are definitely to kind of expand the apparel assortment. I mean, that's really my baby is the apparel part. Clothing brand first for sure.
Yeah.
So as these new styles are dropping and it's just exciting. I introduced a new color called Fiorano Red, which is named after a Ferrari color. So even just something as simple as a new color is exciting.
It's also the name of their track, I think.
Yes, exactly. Their test track. Yep. You're exactly right. So yeah, it's exciting. The apparel sector will continue to expand. Your question on accessories. I have ideas, but I think most of the accessories I'm interested in kind of creating and building, so to speak, I would love for them to come by way of collaboration because I'm not a leather worker, for example, and even though I know about leather, I would have to outsource that. Right. Yeah. I don't sew my shirts either. Just for those of you out there. Yeah. Me with the Singer, sewing machine. It's not happening. But that's also how I can stand by the qualities because I'm not personally making them.
Sure.
I leave it
this
to the professionals. Yeah. Okay. You thank me later.
Very cool. No, I think you've got a really cool perspective on what you're doing, and I would love to see it. Love to see more collaborations too.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do a strap collaboration to make some Velcro strap units.
Yeah, exactly. That might be fun. The Kudoke Velcro strap. I'm sure Stefan would love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Blake's campaign to get everybody on a Velcro strap.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm on a mission here. Yeah. So, well, Wesley, it's always a huge treat to talk to you.
Likewise.
Thanks for making time, and thank you so much for being a part of the Windup Watch Fair.
I can't thank you enough for having me. It's always great to see you,
Yeah,
Kat.
it's been a blast.
Lovely to finally meet
you.
you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
And just super excited to be here. Thanks so much for the time.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care. And finally, we're moving on to Andrew of Astor and Banks, who is local to Chicago here, where we're holding the fair. We are talking origin stories, we're talking recent collections, we're talking design language, all that and more, including some SoLab stuff in there. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Windup Watch Fair Chicago. My name is Blake Buettner. That's Zach from Concord right there. Hello, Zach.
I love that you're saying that in every introduction. Zach from Concord. Yeah. That's going to be my new Instagram handle, I think. Zach from Concord.
Yeah. We are thrilled to be joined by our good friend Andrew of Astor and Banks, who is in his home city.
That's right.
For this fair. Andrew, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for being a part of the Windup Watch Fair.
Well, thank you for having me. First time on the podcast, so very excited about that.
How is it possible this is your first time on the podcast?
Yeah,
I should ask you guys the same.
Yeah, that's clearly an oversight
on our part.
Oversight on our part.
I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited about Windup being in Chicago, not just for the convenience, but because I think I was actually very surprised of how well it turned out. So I'm very, very happy about it.
Show's been going well for you.
It's been great. People have been super nice. Nice to see folks that actually wearing my watches around here, and I've met from Indiana, from Ohio, and a couple other states around here. So it's been really, really cool.
People are really willing to drive like hours
4 or 5 hours.
That's a Midwest thing.
This is a very Midwest thing.
100%.
Like, it's in St. Louis.
No problem.
Let's go.
Or everyone has family in Ohio or Wisconsin or Indiana, Michigan. They're like, oh, I'll fly or drive 5 hours, no problem.
Yep, this is how it is out here. It's all right. Chicago's been beautiful, very welcoming to us, and it's been great to be here in the Midwest. It's been a huge turnout. Yesterday was crazy.
Yesterday was crazy, but amazing.
A lot of people have been coming by your brand, your booth, discovering Astor Banks for the first time, or a lot of them aware of it, they just haven't seen them in the flesh?
So most people were aware, which is nice. It's a nice thing. Some have not. Some wanted just to see it in the flesh, of course, but most of the folks have heard of it, which is really good. I mean, that means people are getting to know the brand, so that's really good. And of course, I'm sharing the table with my sister brand, Soul Labs, and that's been cool. Kind of explaining to people what that is, and people are really loving that.
Can you explain the relationship between Astor and Banks and Soul Labs? And
so Soul Labs started from a partnership with my friend Rick, who's here. Rick he designs the watches in Soul Labs, so it's very different from my more traditional designs. I have some input in it, but that started as a project for the company he works with. He wanted to do a watch for their clients, a client gift that they do every year. So that basically was Soul Labs, and at the time we started talking, I said, "This is really cool. We should spin it off." And so we did, and it's been a little bit of a trek, and finally have our first mechanical model, and it took about 2 years for that. 4 iterations of prototypes.
Wow. Okay.
But man, the feedback has been amazing, not just from people, but also from some of the Worn and Wound folks, TGN guys. And so it's been really, really cool.
It's been awesome to see I can remember when the Soul Labs watches debuted. It wind up in New York in 2019.
2019 in New York.
They were kind of a surprise hit, of the show. And I remember I reviewed that, that first watch, and seeing the Astor and Banks and Soul Labs watches kind of like refine, those designs kind of like refine themselves, over the course of the last, 3 years. It's been, really a treat, because I think both brands have really kind of grown quite a bit just in how watches are.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
They're both very distinctive. Obviously, the Soul Labs kind of goes more into the conceptual, like colorful.
Oh yeah, realm. 80s, not kind of pop colors. You'll obviously see there. If you're into clocks and stuff, Memphis style clocks. Funky hands, pops of color. Will be. We had one guy today that said that. Oh, this is like Memphis style. I'm like, thank you. It's cool. It's definitely for a certain type of person.
You mentioned Astor Banks being a little more kind of traditional in its design, and it's a few hands and a date in there, but it still manages to look rather distinctive. You've got a design language that I think is like really easy to identify, which is a really hard thing to do with very few elements.
Look, I've been doing this for basically 10 years now, and so it's been a fun road, but now I feel very confident in what I'm doing, which is good, and hopefully that comes out in the watches. But I'm going to do other things with more complications. I mean, chronographs are like some of my favorite watches. I have a ton of chronographs in my personal collection, vintage, modern, but I just want it to be perfect. In my eyes. But other complications, like I love a moon phase. I love big date windows, stuff like that. So I don't. For these, I just kind of want to keep it simple, kind of clean, that you can kind of wear every day. But more stuff will come out that'll be a little bit more, I don't know, more complications.
Yeah, sure,
but trying to keep it the same. I don't want all my watches to kind of look the same.
Yeah,
sure. So I want to be able to look. This is not the only thing I can design. I can do something else. So that's kind of what my.
You've had the last few times that I've seen you, you've had this prototype on that I've been like every time I see you giving you trouble. So I think all your watches have kind of like very structural dials. There's some depth there, and this one kind of like pushes that even further.
It's. I'll talk about it. I brought it to the show. Of course, I brought it to San Francisco. It's just part of the Sea Ranger family. So it's the Sea Ranger M2. It's just a dual crown type of watch. Still has an asymmetric case, but more rounded versus the first Sea Ranger is a lot of
case
shapes.
Walls.
The case walls on here, and it has an internal rotating ring. Or bezel, whatever you want to call it, but using it as a 12-hour versus a dive style. So you kind of have that compressor style, but it's, again, 12-hour. 30 ATM, just like the Sea Ranger. This one has a date, color match wheels for all those that are wondering. And applied indices. And you still have that little cutout, like circle cutout. So that ring really adds a lot of depth to that dial.
It's unbelievable. It's very distinctive, and it not only adds some contrast to the dial, but it's also it's like loom impregnated.
It's fully loomed, and it's
lit
powerful.
That thing up the other day.
It's a torch. Yeah. You walk outside, come back in, it's sunny. It's popping. It's really, really cool.
I love that. I love that trend is kind of coming back. And, we're seeing more fully loomed dials. It's fun.
And most of my watches right now, they're more classic kind of styling. Like the first watch I did was silver dial with blued, heated blued hands with a Unitas 6497 in it. So more classic style like that, pilot style. And now kind of evolving more into this. I'm in my 70s phase, kind of, that kind of 70s dive kind of watch. The Fortitude is just, I like to say it's my boring watch because it's just a simple watch. But I think it's got its own thing going on, and people really, really like it. And I just wanted to do something you can wear every day, but still had a little bit of that.
It's an easy to understand watch.
It's kind of surprising to me that people think of it, or that you would describe it as boring. Because like when I look at like the array of watches, I see all these like really creative uses of colors, and like to me that's what sets the watch apart. Is the interesting use of pastels and the dials. And
I love pastel colors.
Yeah, it's great.
I just haven't been able to really incorporate them in my prior designs because it would not really fit the aesthetic of what I was doing then. But with these, of course, everyone's referring to Tiffany color and stuff like that. But just for the record, mint green I did in like 2018, 2019.
There you go.
Ahead of the curve. Yeah.
So, but anyway, I love the colors. I mean, I decided to do all of them when I was trying to choose which ones to actually produce, and luckily they all worked out. So
they're really fun to see. They're on the table. I'm sure a lot of people are kind of like.
Well, some people have been asking me. I've been asking me for the peach color dial that I did in my last run. I only did 50 of those, and I'm not doing any more. The Mais, which is a yellow dial, pastel yellow. That's I have like a couple of those left, but 50 of those are. I won't be doing any more of those. So. Just trying to slim down the SKUs.
You mentioned your own personal collection before. Like, where does how does that inform what you're doing there, and what kind of areas of watches are you into?
So chronographs for sure. I love vintage chronographs. Modern ones I do like. I just got a Zenith Chronomaster, same one that Zach has.
It's beautiful
which I absolutely love. I have the A384, the Panda. I had a vintage one of those in the past, but I've got a Zen from the 80s. It's a pretty rare one, a reference 143 that I absolutely love.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's an aluminum case. Really
aluminum
cool.
Case.
Yeah, really cool. But yeah. Definitely 70s watches I love. Colors are there. They're super cool. Funky design on the cases. Awesome bracelets back then.
Do you find ways to kind of bring that inspiration into your watches?
I mean,
even though I would say your watches do feel very modern.
Yeah.
They don't look like, this is trying to look like a
right. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm trying to, it's hard to, people will make comments like, "Oh, this is like for the Fortitude," like, "Oh, this is like a OP or something like that," or Oyster Perpetual. I'm like, wasn't that? I can definitely see it, right? I can see it.
I mean, it's a watch,
but it's not in my head. But to me, I look at it like, look, you're going to make a watch, for the most part, people are going to think it resembles something.
Yeah.
Something that they've seen or something like that. But
there's no escaping that.
There's no escaping that. I mean, if you do a dive watch and you put a bezel on it, and you're like, oh, this looks like a sub, you know? I mean, in some way, but just trying to find that language, which I think I kind of got. I'm kind of there now where it's familiar where people know what it is.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
And the dual crown is just going to add a little bit to that. And I'm going to do 3 colors, the kind of army green that you guys saw today or at the show. In San Francisco, I had the black dial version, and then I'll have a blue, same color as Sea Ranger blue, so kind of that wash blue with the orange hand. So that'll be the first one of those, just 3 colors.
And you designed these.
Yeah.
You have a background as a designer? Or?
No, it's just totally just like many of these guys here. I took my passion a little bit, extra. So I've always liked design, and I kind of figured out in my life that everything I like is just design based. So whether it's real estate, buildings, architecture, shoes, I love buying shoes. And watches just kind of has everything that I love. So it has design. There's a watch for everybody. There's so many cool elements to it. So many details, of course, as people know. The cleanest, simplest watch is really hard to do because there's so many details to make it like just a simple watch, but no, my background is I was in financial services before. My business partner has a tech company that I help him with, and that's it's just totally driven by passion, labor of love, 100%. And it sounds corny, but it's just true.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for 10 years?
I mean, I started literally 10 years ago. And when I first started, I was doing just kind of like, I had a couple dials and I was only using hand wound Unitas 6497. And it kind of lets you pick like, hey, pick this dial or this dial. So it was either a dress style or more of a pilot style dial, sandwich dial that I did. You can pick the hands. Like I had 3 different hands you can pick from, and so I started doing that 10 years ago, and
kind of like an a la carte style.
Yeah, so it's kind of like semi-custom. So I can control the inventory a little bit, but you can kind of get what you want from what I had, and so that was kind of cool. But it's been 10 years since I started doing that. So
where do you hope to see Astor & Banks in the next 10 years?
Hopefully with a lot more SKUs. More models. Definitely still want to keep that boutique-y feel to it. Independent feel, whatever you want to call it. And just get out more, being out more, and doing more events. Obviously these shows are fantastic because it kind of fills up my need for a show. I can, the windup is great. I just want to keep making watches, and if I can keep doing that for the next 10 years, that'd be, a dream still.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think it makes a big difference when people can come here and see the watches and talk to you
100%.
Like, personally, and get a sense of like what motivates you.
Yeah.
And, this is a good person.
Yeah,
and
right.
That really makes an
You
impression.
can tell when people are genuine about what they're doing, or if they're just there because they think it's, something that they're going to make money on. And if you're in watches in a micro brand, well,
that's one of the things that sets this show apart, I think, is that, we, kind of like cultivated this like group of brands of people who are like really in it for the enthusiasm of it, because they love to do it. It's a labor of love for everyone here.
Exactly. Yeah. And Worn & Wound, you guys did my first review of, it was my second model, which was a chronograph, in like 2014, I think it was. And I met with Zach for lunch, and it was, and since then, I've kind of been on the ride with you guys, and to see from where you guys were then to now, it's been amazing. Yeah. So I always appreciate the support from Worn & Wound, and it's always really good for me when you guys do something. So you guys are doing an awesome job.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of it, and we love what you're doing. Keep it up, and thank you for being a part of the show this year.
Thank you for having me, and we'll see you in New York.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care. Thanks for listening to these conversations from the Windup Watch Fair Chicago. And a special thanks to everyone who made it out to the fair. We had an amazing time meeting all of you. We'll be back to our regular scheduled programming next week. Until next time, take care.